Hello there, and welcome to another video on 90 Day Fiancé. We'll get right into it. We begin with Ed and Liz. Liz and her daughter are in the kitchen, and they look like they are preparing breakfast. And we see Big Ed in the confessionals complaining that a little girl makes a mess while baking. Come on, Ed. Like, she's a little girl. Of course, little girls are going to make messes. But what's the big deal? You just clean it up after. So Liz asks Ed to help them with breakfast. Ed says he would, but then he starts complaining about being messy and making messes. And Liz goes ahead and points out how he leaves messes while he bakes. And Ed tries to cover that up and be like, oh, no, 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 I don't do that. They argue about it until the little girl, Riley, Liz's daughter, steps in and says, how about after we're done making breakfast, we just all clean it up together? And that kind of puts the end to the argument, but come on, Ed. Like, you're gonna argue over a mess, especially in front of a kid, Ed. So Liz's family comes to town. It's her grandma and her mom, and they all go wedding dress shopping. And they kind of in a confessional or off to the side with the cameraman themselves say that they don't really like Ed too much just because of how like he treats Liz. And they are quite surprised that Liz even puts up with it. Her mom says that she must love him an awful lot because normally Liz doesn't put up with this kind of stuff, which is kind of, unbelievable to hear just because of how we see how Ed treats her and she just keeps going back and back and back. I mean, I think this is like their 13th breakup and now they're getting married and we kind of all know where that goes, but for now, I will not say anything to those who are just watching along with the show and don't really know what's happening in real time. But we know. Liz's mom wants to talk to Ed one on one just to clear the air, and this makes Liz worried. She's scared that her mom will be hard on him, and she says that she's hard on him enough and that he doesn't need to hear it from her mom too, but her mom's pretty insistent. And that's kind of where we leave off with Ed and Liz. And I believe in the next episode, it shows a little preview of Ed talking with Liz's mom. So we'll find out how it goes. Next, we have Sophie and Rob. And Sophie is on her way to go see Rob at his apartment. She goes in and brings in a suitcase. He kind of questions her on that because it's not all of her stuff, but she just wants to ease into going back to the apartment. I honestly think she might be like leaning towards breaking up with Rob, but mm, it's so far in the episodes it's hard to tell, but we'll see how it goes. So she comes in there and she sees that there's flowers on top of, I guess, this little table. And she was like, oh, flowers. And Rob explains how he went and stole them off some person's bush. Like, you couldn't even buy one rose or like flowers or grocery store flowers or something. Like, come on, Rob. Like, anyways, so she thought that there was like a poem or maybe a letter or something like explaining like how much like he loves her and he misses her and he wants her back. But no, underneath was a to-do list, as she put it, pretty much stating that all the stuff that she has to do, which is like clean up after herself predominantly, in order to make the relationship work. And she tells Rob, I didn't leave you because of that. I left because of your online cheating, which shocks him. So they continue to argue, and then, out of nowhere, Sophie brings up the fact that Rob is controlling. And Rob asks how he's controlling, like he doesn't see it. Apparently, he counts the amount of toilet paper that Sophie uses and gets mad if she uses too much toilet paper. He claims that she's in the bathroom for hours on end, just sitting there, just using all the toilet paper, use a whole roll in a day. Come on, Rob. Even the dollar store sells toilet paper. Like, first you couldn't give the girl a bathroom, and now she has a bathroom. Now she spends too much time in the bathroom, and now she can't even use the toilet paper in the bathroom. Come on, Rob. You can do better. Sophie tells Rob that he needs to get some help, some therapy, and she leaves. She doesn't feel comfortable. She doesn't want to stay, so she leaves. And then we see that, a day or so later, Rob invites her on a date. They go and they learn the two step at, like, it looks like to me like a country western type bar. And they have a good time. He's super romantic. He writes her a poem. And it's kind of what she always wanted. So she tells Rob that her friend Callum from England is going to come visit her. He automatically asks, "Oh, is this a good looking dude?" And I think he gets jealous because it's a guy friend and he was coming to the US and she invited him to come and hang out and, not even just like hang out on her own, but hang out with Rob. So it's like, why be jealous? But in the next episode, it shows, Callum coming, and I don't know, Rob seems kind of standoffish. So we'll see how it all plays out. I'm really excited to see how it all plays out, but I don't think it's going to go good. We catch up with Ashley and Manuel, and they're on their way to a motorcycle shop. Manuel used to drive motorcycles in Ecuador, and Ashley just kind of wants to pull back on the whole kid situation. And she's hoping that if she's open to helping Manuel get this motorcycle, that eventually he'll open up to her and talk to her more about the kids. We also learned that he wants to visit his family in New York, go driving up and on this motorcycle to see them. Ashley's a little bit worried about this, and rightfully so. There's a real lack of communication between them. I mean, when we see them separately in their confessionals, I understand where Ashley's coming from, and I totally understand where Manuel's coming from. But somehow the lines are getting crossed and they aren't understanding each other. So they go to this spiritualist type witchy shop, I guess, and the spiritualist suggests that Manuel take a cleansing bath. Manuel doesn't really believe in what Ashley believes, her spirituality, being a witch. Um, he just thinks it's weird and odd, but he supports her, which is, a good thing for a husband to do. So eventually he agrees to this spiritual bath, and Ashley is really happy, and she's hoping that with this spiritual bath that it'll open up all of the stuff that Manuel's holding back to her, and he'll just tell her everything. Ashley really wants to meet his family in New York, and Manuel is very hesitant. And we learn in confessionals why he's so hesitant. He's worried that his family will not accept Ashley, and he's just trying to be down in the middle between the both of them. But eventually, you can't play the middleman well, and you're going to have to introduce your wife to your family, and hopefully, they will not be harsh with her. Even though his family situation is difficult, as he puts it, he wants to show Ashley that he is legitimately trying to assimilate to US culture, and he's taking some English classes. He has a little bit of a hard time with it, but I mean, it shows effort and it shows that at least he's trying. We see them next outside doing the spiritual bath. It was more like a spiritual shower, but still is a spiritual bath. All of a sudden, they get weirded out because they hear all of these noises, and it was raccoons. And apparently, in Ecuador, there's raccoons everywhere. And he thought it was a message from the raccoons being like, "Don't do the bath, don't do the bath." I found that to be kind of funny. But he plays along with it. He still, plays around, and he still does the bath. He's totally supportive of Ashley. She asks him if his family will like her. Uh, he said that he is not sure. He's not sure how that they will take her, if they will accept her and her ways, or if it's a no go. He explains how they are Catholics, and they get weirded out over the word witch, and they associate it with evil. And I guess Manuel had never told his family that Ashley is a practicing witch. So we're going to have to see how that all plays out. Um, what do you guys think? I'm very interested in seeing how it plays out. I'm not sure. It could go either way. We catch up with Gino and Jasmine after they had just left the immigration lawyer, where they found out that it's going to take up to 2 years for her kids to come to the country. They go to a coffee shop to discuss everything, and moving forward, Jasmine really wants a lawyer, and understandably so. She just wants everything to be done right. She doesn't want to fully trust Gino because he's not a lawyer, but he did bring, I guess, his ex to the country before and she got in. He brought Jasmine to the country and she got in. But somewhere along the lines, he omitted the kids' names, and now he's saying he doesn't want to pay for a lawyer. He doesn't have the money for a lawyer. Gino goes on to explain that they spent a lot of money on the wedding and there's just no money for a lawyer. This lawyer's $5,000, and he says where he's living off his savings that it just isn't there and that he can do it himself. He claimed that it was both him and Jasmine's mistake. And I did not agree with that. I didn't like that. But later on, we see Jasmine crying, where Gino says straight out to her, like, it's like, it's not only my mistake, like our mistake, but it's your mistake as well. And she's just crying and she's saying, I know, I should have checked up on you. I should have made sure that they were on there. And she just feels devastated. She feels defeated, and I feel like at this point she'd rather go back to Panama and be with her boys than be with Gino at all. She says that this is putting their relationship at risk, which rightfully so. She explains how she should just brought them with her and not left them behind. She is really regretting her choices, and it's kind of sad to see. I kind of feel for her in this moment here. Then we catch up with Nicole and Mahmoud, and it's the next morning, and Nicole said all went well the night before. They're going out shopping on this boardwalk thingy in San Diego, and almost every shop that they go into, and this different stuff they look at, and things like that, like, Mahmoud seems so uninterested. He's weirded out by the whole experience, and he just doesn't seem like he's really physically present because he seems like he's depressed. He explains to Nicole how he just misses Egypt, but this is only day one. Like, you haven't even given the states a chance. She catches him glancing at a Muslim girl, and I guess he was staring kind of hard. This made Nicole feel very insecure. And she told him, if you want her, like, if you want an Arab woman, just go back to Egypt. Like, leave me. Clearly, I'm not Muslim enough for you. And he gets upset and he does exactly what she says and just leaves. I don't know where he's going, what he plans to do, but he boogies the F out of there. You didn't have to tell him twice. And lastly, we catch up with Kobe and Emily, and they're on their way to see Kobe's family in their traditional Cameroonian outfits. Someone says something to Emily's dad while they were in the vehicle. They were in a different vehicle, and Emily's dad had no idea what they said, but he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna roll up my window here a little bit." And Emily in the back's like, "Yeah, I suggest you roll it up all the way." And Kobe in confessionals explains to us how the white people, like, they stick out like a sore thumb there because they don't really see white people around there. It's very rare, and when they do, it's like, whoa, look at them. Kobe explains how Kansas is kind of like that, but with him. So now he feels better being the one to fit in and not sticking out like a sore thumb, I guess you could say. So while on the car ride, Kobe's explaining how certain points of the ride, like there's checkpoints, and sometimes they stop and check the car, and sometimes they just wave you through. This is because of the war, and just whatever car they feel like stopping and checking, they can. Kobe says that it's really not safe for them, like if their car were to break down or if they ran out of gas, to be on the side of the road. People will rob them, and Emily's parents kind of freak out a little bit over it. They ask, are we truly really safe here? And Kobe says that they are safe. He just doesn't want that type of energy to rub off or come off on his family, because his family is very proud of their heritage, where they come from, and their culture. And he just doesn't want it to be disrespectful or come off that way, even though he understands where Emily's parents are coming from. So they finally arrive, and all of Kobe's family is standing out of the porch and waiting for them. Uh, they are all in blue, their Cameroonian outfits. They go in, they're greeted. Kobe's dad gives Emily's dad a plant of peace. He explains how it's not only from him, but also his father as well, which makes Kobe emotional, as he was translating it to Emily's dad, and Emily's dad gives Kobe's dad a big hug. They have a meal, they have something to eat, and while they're sitting and eating, they're talking, and they were kind of explaining how all the rest of Kobe's brothers and sisters have had a traditional wedding, as well as another wedding, for the ones who have gone out and met outsiders or foreigners. And in their eyes, even though Kobe and Emily are totally married by US standards, by their traditional standards, they are not married. So they don't recognize Emily as Kobe's wife. So they are suggesting that they have a traditional wedding. Emily's parents were like, well, when's this going to be? Because we only have like so much time. They only have 2 weeks there. And I guess they have to prepare traditional Cameroonian food, which they have no idea how to prepare, which should be interesting to see. And Emily has 2 weeks to put this wedding together, and she's not even sure what kind of wedding to put together culturally for Kobe's family. I think the best thing she should do is maybe go with Kobe and ask his family and see how to put everything together. I know she's worried. She just wants them to like her, and that's it. She just wants to blend their families, and that's why she's going along with wanting to do the traditional wedding. And that's the end of my 90-day happily ever after recap. This was season 8, episode 3. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or comments, please leave me a comment. I'll get back to as many as I can. Thank you for viewing. If you watched all the way to the end, please like and subscribe. And it really helps to push this video out there to other 90 Day lovers. And I'll catch you in the next one.